Allan Moffat, one of the greatest figures in the history of Australian motorsport, has died at the age of 86. The Supercars Hall of Famer passed away on Saturday morning, surrounded by loved ones. The announcement sent shockwaves through the racing world, triggering a tidal wave of tributes from teams, drivers, commentators, and fans who regarded him not just as a champion, but as an icon who shaped 3 decades of the sport. But the most discussed reaction, the one that has now stunned both the motorsport community and the public, came from his wife, who broke her silence publicly for the first time since his passing. Her message was brief, emotional, and unexpected. What she revealed has set off widespread conversation, adding a deeply human layer to the legend's final chapter. For many Australians, Allan Moffat's name is synonymous with racing history. His 4 Australian Touring Car Championships, 4 Bathurst victories, and 6 Sandown wins established him as one of the greatest drivers ever to compete. Across 104 championship starts, he achieved 36 wins, giving him a 34.6% victory rate, the highest of any driver with 20 or more wins. Those achievements are impressive on paper, but to the fans gathering across the country now, they represent much more. They represent memories, rivalries, emotions, and a chapter of Australian sport that will never be repeated. Almost immediately after the news broke, tributes began flooding in. Ford Racing's global team issued a public statement calling Moffat a guiding light to the sport on and off the track. Ford Australia described him as a true superstar of Australian motor racing, a hero to fans both in Australia and abroad, and a man whose driving inspired and thrilled generations. Dick Johnson Racing, Tickford Racing, and many supercars drivers posted their own emotional messages. Broadcaster Mark Beretta called him an incredible driver and a personality whose rivalry with Peter Brock would be talked about forever. Larry Perkins shared a heartfelt message, calling Moffat a dear friend. John Bowe described him as the first truly professional driver in Australian motorsport. But when Allan Moffat's wife finally spoke, her words overshadowed every other tribute, not because of their length or poetic nature, but because of their honesty and emotional impact. Until that moment, she had stayed silent. The racing world assumed she was grieving privately, away from cameras and social media. But when she finally released her message, it sent an emotional shock through the motorsport community. Her statement revealed the depth of the struggle Allan faced in his final years, the private battle the family endured, and the emotional truth behind the legend's final days. She said that Allan's passing was not just the death of a racing champion. It was the end of a personal journey marked by resilience, quiet suffering, and a deep love for the sport that had defined his entire life. She described how Allan continued fighting, even when his health made it increasingly difficult to enjoy the full recognition of his accomplishments. She did not speak in technical racing language, nor did she focus on his victories. Instead, she spoke like a person who had watched a loved one slowly fade, knowing that the world still saw him as the driver who dominated Bathurst. Her message began by acknowledging the extraordinary outpouring of love from fans and teams. She expressed gratitude for the tributes, but added something no one expected. She said that the disease that ultimately took Allan had affected him far more deeply than the public ever knew. She said he struggled in silence, not wanting fans to see him anything less than the strong, sharp, competitive figure they remembered. Her words echoed John Bowe's statement that the disease prevented him from fully enjoying the recognition he deserved. Then came the part that shocked everyone. Allan Moffat's wife revealed that during his final years, Allan had been emotionally torn by one thing. He feared he would be forgotten by the new generation of drivers. She said that while Allan always appeared confident on the outside, he privately worried that young fans no longer knew what he had done for the sport, that his accomplishments would eventually fade as the sport evolved. According to her, Allan's greatest fear was not illness or age, it was time. Time erasing the memories of the man he once was. Fans were stunned. To them, Allan Moffat was immortal. His battles with Peter Brock were legendary. His name was carved into Australian sporting history. But to hear that he privately feared being forgotten changed everything. It turned him from a giant into a human being, someone who, even at the height of his achievements, wanted to know that his work mattered. His wife continued by explaining that Allan became emotional whenever he saw tributes, historical footage, or fans sharing old photographs. She said he would often sit silently, watching those moments from the past, and ask whether anyone still remembered those days. Her voice in the statement carried the weight of a person who had watched a legend struggle with both the physical effects of illness and the emotional burden of legacy. Her message was not simply a tribute, it was a revelation, one that reshaped how fans understood the man behind the race suit. For decades, Allan Moffat was seen as a fierce competitor, a focused driver, a rival to Brock, and a symbol of Ford's dominance. But behind all that, he was a man confronting the fear that his glory would fade with time. His wife's words broke through the mythology of racing and showed the vulnerability behind the legend. She also revealed the depth of the support Allan received in his final years. She thanked those who helped him through his private health battle, echoing John Bowe's recognition of Phil Grant and LP. She said these individuals ensured Allan faced his final years with dignity, comfort, and companionship. Her gratitude made it clear that Allan's later life would have been far more difficult without them. But the final part of her message was what truly shocked fans. She said that Allan's greatest peace in his last days came from the knowledge that he would be celebrated at the upcoming Adelaide Grand Final. She said that although he could not express it clearly, he seemed to understand that the sport he loved would come together to honor him. She said that as Allan's health declined, one of the last things that brought him comfort was hearing about the admiration still felt for him across the motorsport community. She said he passed away knowing he had not been forgotten. Fans across Australia read those words and felt a wave of emotion. Many said her statement made them cry. Others said they wished Allan could have seen just how many people still admired him. Social media flooded with comments from fans who said they had grown up watching him race, from younger fans who discovered him through their parents, and from drivers who considered him a mentor from afar. Her final words were a powerful plea. She asked fans to continue sharing their memories of Allan, not just for the racing achievements, but for the man he was: passionate, fierce, dedicated, and determined. She said Allan would have wanted to live on not only in statistics, but in stories, in hearts, and in the history of Australian motorsport. The reaction was immediate. Thousands began posting tributes, videos, photos, and personal anecdotes. People who had met Allan at racetracks shared stories about his kindness. Longtime fans posted about the moments they remembered from Bathurst. Younger fans expressed gratitude for learning more about him. In a way, her message achieved something uniquely powerful. It ensured Allan Moffat would never be forgotten. As preparations continue for the Adelaide Grand Final, fans are attending the event with a new sense of emotion. It is no longer just a race weekend, it is a farewell. A celebration, a tribute not only to the champion on paper, but to the man who feared time would erase him. Thanks to his wife's honest and emotional message, Allan Moffat now stands taller than ever in the hearts of fans, not because of his victories, but because of his humanity. Her words shocked everyone, and they changed the way the world will remember Allan Moffat forever.